Hi, kids. So this is for fifth period, but it's also good for review for later. So I won't be in fifth period today. I have a doctor's appointment that I have to go to. So first things first, the substitute should return major paper twos that I have ready for you, as well as a copy of the grading rubric for major paper two. I'm going to give, if you pause this recording, and then have that returned, then we can kind of talk about what I saw overall in major paper two. So pause now and return those papers. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that I saw overall. First of all, introductions. You are getting better at introductions. I would say 80% of you followed the funnel introduction. You tried to think of a good attention getter. You worked your way down to the topic, which is political analysis, and then you transitioned into your split thesis. The idea of the split thesis, remember, is that you say at the beginning, although, and you give the opposing viewpoint. Then to end the thesis, you give your own viewpoint as well as a hint at your reasoning to come. So although many people believe that artifice is not necessary for a politician to succeed and in fact may hinder their success in the future, it is clear that in order to be elected as a president in a democracy, the individual must show at least some form of artifice in order to get the majority vote. Done. So with that, I know that I'm going to be talking about democracy in the paper, and I'm going to be talking about majority vote and why that's so important. All right. The one thing that I noticed probably in about 50% of the paper is that there were quite a few of you who never actually referred to Hedges. You didn't talk about who he was or what he said or the quote from the prompt. Don't ignore the prompt. Whether you're doing a timed write or a formal paper, if the prompt gives you some information, you need to use that somewhere in your introduction. So there's a few of you who came up with really good funnel introductions about the topic of political artifice in general, but you never referred to Hedges. So go back and make sure that you put in information about Hedges. Okay, for your background section, the biggest problem that I saw in the background section is that you were all very general, many of you were very general about things that we had already talked about in class. So you talked about Machiavelli's The Prince. You didn't put in direct quotations from it or anything like that. You might have referred to Machiavelli's life, but you didn't prove that you had done any further research on it. You might have, only like one or two of you actually referred to the modern Machiavelli to apply Machiavelli's teachings to today in your background. And I would say that's almost required because otherwise you're just left with the 16th century political philosopher and you don't say anything about how it relates to today. The biggest thing is that you need to show me proof that you've done research into this. So if you write about the background of democracy as part of the background, like why we're a democratic republic and what that means and how that influences the use of artifice, you need to show me that you've done research. You can't just write general things. You need to show me that you've looked into it. You supply quotes from outside sources. So a huge part of your grade for major paper 2 is evidence of background research. And this is one of the areas where I really look to see that you've done that. So a lot of you need to expand that background section. You've got a good general idea, but you have to show me that you've done specific research there. All right, the body paragraphs. A few of you are still having problems determining the difference between reasoning and evidence. So sometimes you started off your body paragraphs with like, this politician is an example of using artifice. This politician is not an example of using artifice. Well, that's actually evidence that supports what you should be saying. Remember, the reasons are why you believe artifice is necessary. It's not this person uses artifice or this one doesn't. It's artifice is necessary or is not necessary, and these are the three reasons why. Here are evidence that I have to support that. So if you were saying artifice is not necessary or in fact is dangerous, then one of those big pieces of evidence that you could use is the fact, or pieces of reasoning that you could use, is the fact that politicians, if they are caught using artifice, or putting themselves off as being someone who they are not, it could be the end of their career. So there's definitely examples of that through history. So dishonest politicians and things like that you can find, or dishonesty that ends a politician's career, do some Google searches there and find some information about that particular person. And then find examples from speeches and commercials and things like that they put out to help you with that. So remember, the reasoning is what should guide, should be the first sentence in all your body paragraphs. This is another reason, here's another reason why I think artifice is necessary. And then the evidence supports those reasons. Don't lead with evidence. Reminder that you need 2 to 3 commercials and 2 to 3 speeches. I would suggest that you have 2 pieces of evidence per reasoning. And some of you are, getting done with your reasoning pretty quickly. So I would say if you are looking at like a major paper right now and you only have 2 pages typed, that's not a major paper. You need to go back and you need to add additional evidence or an additional reason. I am looking once again that you are doing research on your own, not just what you were given by me. So please take a look at that. On this slide, which I'm also posting the slideshow on Schoology, I've given you how to cite commercials from Living Room Candidate. Last name of the politician, first name of the politician, the title of the commercial, the year of the commercial. And please mention the title of the commercial in your paper. Don't just say in Bush's commercial. I don't know what commercial that is or what you're looking at. So here's the example from the one that I showed you in class, George H.W. Bush with the little girl running through the field. That's what that would look like. I didn't have room to put in the full URL, but, just copy and paste that URL there for proper MLA format. Okay. Refutation, remember, some of you are still missing this, but a lot of you have it in. You just need to expand it with specific evidence. Just like a body paragraph, here's the reason why artifice could be considered bad, even though it's necessary, or here's a reason why honesty is the better policy than artifice, or whatever it is that you want to use. You can use the same politician as you used for evidence later if you want to. You don't have to have a new politician, but please make sure that you are using specific evidence here. It could be another speech. It could be another commercial. It could be the same speech or the same commercial from before where you're showing, like the other side of it. And then for conclusions, so this is what you're writing this time. So remember, these are big picture conclusions. During the paper, you argued whether artifice is necessary or not. In the conclusion, I want you to make a value judgment. A value judgment is where you place value on something. So now you're going to place value on artifice. And these are some of the questions that I want you to ask of yourself. Is artifice good for our country? It may be necessary for elections, but is it good? And in some cases, you could say it is because you do some research into maybe some examples of government dishonesty helping national security. You can find examples of that. So you don't just have to go on the opposing side that artifice is bad for the country, but you have to kind of think it through and what makes artifice or kind of disguising the truth from citizens good or bad for our country. Another thing that you can do for value judgment is, what does this say about our nation or our society that artifice plays such an important role in our elections, or that we even have to discuss how artifice plays a role in politics? And then other things, where do we go from here? Should we try to work to change politics for the better? Is it possible to switch that around for our future? Or because of the way we are headed with image and everything like that, and being so important, are we kind of stuck with artifice? So that's what I want you to think about, those 3 questions in creating your conclusion. Value judgment. Just because you are giving your opinion in this conclusion, I don't want to see first-person pronouns. You state your opinion like it's a fact. Don't say, I believe that. Start with where you would say after the I believe that. So I believe that artifice is bad for our country. Nope. Artifice is bad for our country because, okay? Take yourself out of it. State your opinion as fact. Okay, so again, you've got your first draft back today. Second draft is due on November 20th for corrections. You should this time have it completely done. Introduction, body paragraphs, refutation, conclusion, as well as a properly cited MLA Works Cited page. I've given you how to do the Living Room Candidate pages above. Hopefully, if I'm back in school tomorrow, I will show you how to do the two website or the two speeches that I've given you, Obama's as well as Modern Machiavelli and Machiavelli's The Prince and Trump's speech, so that you can see what those are like. Okay, looking at the rubric, you can see that there's a lot of description in the rubric to kind of help you write this paper. Use that when you're going through the paper to determine what you want. Remember, in the description portion right there where it says teacher comments, that section gives you what you need to do to earn a mastery or a proficient at that part of the paper. Anything less than that, you're missing something or not doing it as well as you could. All right, I hope that helps you get a start. For class today, you will be given the class period to work on your major papers and making those corrections. But the other thing that I need you to do is, if you are a campaign manager, you need to get a copy of your paper, your speech with your candidates, and share it with me. Make sure that each person who has contributed to your speech has written in a different color. Go ahead and change that font color on the speech and give me a key at the bottom so I know who wrote what. I'll take a look at those, and then tomorrow in class we're going to be doing speech practice in the hallway. I'm going to be working with each group one at a time. In the meantime, you guys are going to be in the classroom, the rest of the groups, working on your campaigns. Okay, I hope you have a good day, and I hope I see you tomorrow.